Welcome to Nice Finance. If you're reading the title, you already know what this video is about.
The big cry is coming. The big cry.
We have literally lost the plot. We have lost the plot.
I really do not like crying on the internet, but I'm not even about to pretend like this is shit that I'm finna be embarrassed about, bro. Like, I ain't never been so devastated behind an election. And it's just like, when you a black woman surrounded by black men, and they say all this, like, oh, he's not that bad, and oh, he just hates everyone, bro. Like, it was my brother, homeboy, I was talking to the other day, a black man, and I found out that he's a Trump supporter. I'm like, he does not like you. And he was like, oh no, he just don't like everybody. What? So that's a good candidate for you? Someone who just hates everybody? Like, what? And I'm crying in my room this morning. My brother gonna come up in here and say, what's wrong with you? Like, he can't think of one possible reason why I would be upset right now, bro. These niggas are they live on another planet. And it's because none of this affects men. That's why. Men don't give a fuck about nothing that don't directly affect them. If it does not directly affect men, they do not give up. Hating women is the whole reason he got elected in the first place. The first time he got elected, he ran up against a man and it wasn't even a good candidate, and he lost. He ran up against a woman again and he won, because y'all just hate women. That's all it is. We couldn't even get a white lady in office. Of course they wouldn't go vote for no black lady. And it's like, people just, either people don't give up or they're genuinely not grasping how it is. And it's just like somebody commented on my last video when I was like in the club, we all crying, talking about, oh, y'all are so dramatic. Dramatic? This is dramatic? Like, this is an extreme underreaction. Dramatic will be marching down to that White House and burning that bitch down. That's dramatic. You don't want to see dramatic. This is nothing. We're literally doomed for the next 4 years at the very least.
I just woke up in Kamala Lost, so why everybody up here is saying they voted for Kamala? Somebody laugh. Who laughed? Y'all just doing it for the views. Y'all chatting. Cause if all of us up here voted for Kamala, she should have won. Y'all lying. And y'all mama and y'all redneck ass granddaddy going to hell.
I have been crying all day. Kamala Harris is going to give her concession speech tonight. You know what she's going to do at the concession speech? She's going to be gracious. She's going to tell the American people not to lose hope. Because that's what a president should be saying. She was the right choice. And I know in my heart that black people did not fail. Look at the polls. We did our best. So please, do not beat yourself up. Everybody else wanted Trump. They're not ready for a woman of color to be president. I don't honestly think this country will ever be ready to have somebody that looks like us in office. Obama was the first, and they don't want anybody else ever to be president. That's why it's always such a mess of joy whenever you see anything that's like the first black actress to win this, the first black novelist to win this. Hell, even like the first Latino American to win. Messages that we are not good enough, that we'll never be good enough to compete with white people. I want to have hope in humanity. I want to believe that we can be good, we can be kind. Because I was always raised to see the best in everyone. After the elections, after to see the turnout from white men that just wanted a president that was a man to uphold the patriarchy. White women who have expressed that Kamala should be the first to represent women. Also, I don't think humanity is worth saving, and I don't think that we are good. I think power and corruption is ultimately all that will ever become. In my heart, Kamala Harris is Madam President. Now, we as minorities, as marginalized communities, even if you're not black, if you're a trans woman, a trans man, LGBTQ+, Latina, Latino, aren't white, or cis and hetero, and a man, then you have to start preparing for what to do. I'm fortunate enough to live in a blue state, but anything could happen. I'm trying to get my family out of a red state. That's only a matter of time, and I have to continuously prepare myself to seek asylum. If you haven't already, start saving. And if you look anything remotely like me, get out. It's not going to be safe. Especially if you live in the South, especially if you've been living the Midwest. Get out. Understand if you can. I will continuously uphold y'all in my prayers. If you can, now is the time.
The reason that Kamala lost was, I don't care what the media says, you fake news media. The reason Kamala lost was because her policy sucked. America did not want socialism. That's what she was offering. America does not want biological men in women's bathrooms. Americans do not want inflation. And the most of the country don't care about abortion to the degree where we're going to not care about anything else. And most of the country don't care about Beyonce's endorsement. And until the Democrats figure that out, they're going to stay losing. That's it.
On the flip side, due to this election, I just wanted to give some Kamala Harris some advice, maybe next time when she runs, what she could do. Don't look at people of color and go towards the influencers or the dancers or the sports players, because those people, they don't represent half of the people of color's opinions, their political views. We just listen to them because they have good music, or we watch them because they have talent in sports. Next time when you're doing your political race, go talk to actual black political leaders or black leaders in the community that we look up to for insight on opinions, things of that nature, and you have interviews with those kinds of people. Don't come to this community trying to relate to us by going to have conversations with people that we listen to musically wise or things like that, and become more sociable and relatable to a sense. You don't have to know your race or background and things of that nature, but to a certain extent, when you share a little bit of dirt, you get a little bit more cred. Clearly, America just voted for a felon as a president. I think you would touch a lot of more Americans when you become less shy away from having an ulterior motive, it seems like. No shade, because seeing you being around Charlemagne and or Glorilla and or some of the people that you had endorsing you and or speaking to for political conversations kind of rubbed me the wrong way, as if you felt like I wasn't intelligent enough to watch you debate or have an interview with somebody of the same stature as you. I actually preferred to watch that, whether it was a woman or man of color, a woman of color. I didn't really want to see you debate or argue with singers, rappers, models, TV, sports specialists, hip-hop specialists. I didn't want to see you with those kinds of people. No shade. But maybe next time, it'll go a little different. That's just one advice I have,
Here's why I think that Kamala Harris lost the election. Other than the fact that there is a large population that will never ever vote for a woman, regardless who it is. She did not do enough to separate herself from Joe Biden. When she went on The View and they asked her, is there anything about Biden's presidency that you would have done differently? And she says that nothing comes to mind. That was a terrible answer. It's like when you're interviewing for a job and they ask, what's your biggest weakness? If you say nothing comes to mind, you aren't getting the job. And Trump ran with that. Rightfully so. She should have been prepared to answer that question while she was campaigning. The approval rating during Joe Biden's 4 years was not good. And we saw on the exit polls that people did not approve of him. And Kamala did not do enough to separate her from him. The educated folks know that the vice president really doesn't control anything. But the average independent, the average American doesn't realize that. The economy was clearly the number one thing people were voting on. It came down to gas prices and grocery prices. But again, the educated folks know that the president doesn't control those prices. But the average American, the average independent doesn't. And they compared the two terms. And Kamala failed on delivering that message.
I don't understand how we let this happen. The women who voted for him, I can't wrap my head around your logic. Every minority that voted for him, I can't wrap my head around it. because clearly you guys have not paid attention to everything he's been saying, and he is not for the people. He is for himself and for the rich people. They talk about having rigged elections, and they rigged the election. It's exactly what they did it when Elon Musk was buying votes. They did it when his followers were burning ballot boxes. It was on the news. We're in trouble, and I'm terrified.
Let's get one thing straight before we move any further. Kamala Harris losing to a convicted felon and self-proclaimed racist has nothing to do with the American people and everything to do with the Biden-Harris administration being incompetent and their ineffective ability to advocate for underrepresented and marginalized populations. They have taken those votes for granted for a very long time. And in this 2024 election, underrepresented and marginalized populations have shown the Democratic Party the power of their vote. You lost with the support of Beyonce and Taylor Swift. That is to show you how fed up marginalized populations are with the Democratic Party. They have consistently ignored the needs of those populations, and not only did they ignore the needs of those populations in America, but then decided to marginalize their families abroad as well. So, stop blaming the American people. Take some accountability. You can decide to continue to alienate yourself from your core voting demographic, or you can go back to the drawing board, identify a strategic plan, and figure out how you're going to get your core voters back. Until then, keep it quiet and read the room.
If you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing, sharing the video, and giving it a thumbs up. Until next time, take care.